Good evening, it's Monday the 27th of October and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Diplomatic tour. President Trump embarks on Asia trip aiming to secure high-stakes summit with China's Xi Jinping. Security policy. President Netanyahu asserts Israel will decide which troops are acceptable for deployment under ceasefire plan in Gaza. Cultural event. Night at the museum returns to the American Museum of Natural History.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Selina Jayathilaka.
Good evening and thank you once again for joining us on World News Tonight on other Derana News Channel. US President Donald Trump begins his 5-day Asia tour in Malaysia, where he helped broker a ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia and signed trade and critical minerals agreements. His attention now turns to a highly anticipated meeting with Xi Jinping of China aimed at resolving a bruising trade war.
US President Donald Trump has officially kicked off his first Asian tour since his re-election. Starting in Malaysia, he will then go on to South Korea and Japan. Trump will want to prove himself as a deal-maker. He'll not want to leave any stone unturned when it comes to the most serious issues. The highlight will be a meeting with Xi Jinping on Thursday in South Korea at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation known as APEC Summit. There will likely be discussions on the war in Ukraine, the production of fentanyl in China, a destructive opioid in the United States, and Taiwan. But also, of course, tariffs.
I have a good relationship with, as you know, President Xi. Very good. We're going to be meeting. We'll have a good meeting. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a great meeting, maybe a great meeting. But I think we're going to do some good business.
A team of negotiators led by US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is preceding the US President and is already negotiating a trade agreement with the Chinese delegation in Malaysia. It is there at the ASEAN summit, which brings together the countries of Southeast Asia, that Donald Trump will begin his tour, with the likely signing of a trade agreement with Malaysia. He will then meet with the new Japanese Prime Minister and possibly even the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. The last meeting between the two men dates back to 2019. The signing of trade agreements remains the priority of this tour. China has recently reduced its exports of rare earths, yet these minerals are indispensable to the US technology industry, and Beijing is using them as leverage in its trade war with the United States. Donald Trump responded by threatening to raise tariffs by 100%. Both sides will be seeking to reach an agreement on the issue.
India and China are resuming direct flights this month after a more than 5-year pause following a severe border standoff and pandemic disruptions. The resumption is being hailed as a significant step toward normalizing ties between the two regional powers, facilitating travel, tourism and trade links once again.
The suspension of direct air services between India and China began with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020 and was prolonged by military clashes in the Himalayan border region. Notably, the deadly 2020 confrontation in Galwan Valley, which killed 20 Indian and 4 Chinese soldiers. In recent months, both countries have taken concrete steps towards rapprochement, high-level diplomatic exchanges, and agreement to resume flights and border patrol accords. The revived airlink is part of a broader push to restore economic people-to-people contacts. Operationally, the first flight under the renewed service will mark a key milestone. Carriers such as Indigo have been asked to stand ready. The first route scheduled is between Kolkata and Guangzhou, with services expected to launch by late October. This initiative to restart flights could be a small step in bringing two powerful nations together.
Fresh border clashes between Pakistan and Afghanistan have resulted in the deaths of 5 Pakistani soldiers and 25 militants, according to Pakistan's military. The violence erupted amid ongoing peace talks in Istanbul aimed at preventing a return to full-scale conflict following the deadliest border fighting since the Taliban's 2021 takeover.
The recent clashes, which occurred on Friday and Saturday in Kuram and North Waziristan districts, areas along Pakistan's northwestern frontier, have created a new problem. Pakistan's military reported today that armed groups attempted to infiltrate from Afghanistan, raising concerns about Kabul's commitment to addressing cross-border terrorism. This development comes as both nations engage in peace talks in Istanbul mediated by Turkey and Qatar to solidify a ceasefire agreement reached in Doha earlier this month. Pakistan accuses the Afghan Taliban of harboring militants from the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan who allegedly launched attacks into Pakistani territory from Afghan sanctuaries. In response, Pakistan has conducted airstrikes targeting these groups. However, the Taliban denies these allegations, asserting that Afghanistan does not shelter such militants and accusing Pakistan of violating Afghan sovereignty with its military actions. Pakistan and Afghanistan have significantly disrupted trade, leading to a sharp increase in the prices of essential goods. For instance, the cost of tomatoes in Pakistan has surged by over 400%, exacerbating economic hardships for local populations. The border shutdown has also resulted in the spoilage of thousands of containers of perishable goods, highlighting the broader economic impacts of the ongoing tension.
In Seoul, the government affirmed its commitment to denuclearize the Korean peninsula and maintain close coordination with Washington after US President Donald Trump made a comment on North Korea's nuclear power while embarking on an Asia tour. Meanwhile, Pyongyang dispatched its top diplomat to Russia and Belarus, complicating peace talks prospects.
Following U.S. President Donald Trump's remarks referring to North Korea as sort of a nuclear power, a South Korean presidential official said on Sunday that Trump appeared to recognize the advanced reality of North Korea's nuclear capabilities rather than officially recognizing its status or abandoning nuclearization goals. They also reaffirmed close coordination with the U.S. on denuclearization. Trump made the remarks during a press meeting aboard Air Force One on Friday in response to a question about Pyongyang's stance that recognition as a nuclear power is a prerequisite for talks with Washington. He departed for an Asia tour over the weekend, which includes a visit to South Korea, and expressed a strong desire to meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
I do. And if you want to put out the word, I'm open to it. You know, they don't have a lot of telephone service. They have a lot of nuclear weapons, but not a lot of telephone service. So I'm open to it. I had a great relationship with him, and he probably knows I'm coming, right?
However, prospects of a U.S.-North Korea meeting seem to have dimmed as North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee departed Pyongyang for a trip to Russia and Belarus. According to the North State media, the Korean Central News Agency on Monday, Choi's visit to the two countries is at the invitation of their foreign ministers. Her absence during the run-up to Trump's visit to South Korea suggests that talks between Kim and Trump are unlikely to materialize.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. To secure a fragile Gaza ceasefire under a US-backed plan, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would determine which countries may join a proposed international force. Washington has ruled out deploying US combat troops while talks continue with regional partners, including Egypt, the UAE, Qatar, Indonesia, and Azerbaijan.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday that the country would determine which foreign forces it would allow as part of a planned international force in Gaza. Netanyahu spoke at a cabinet meeting.
We control our own security, and we have made clear that in regard to international forces, Israel will determine which forces are unacceptable to us, and that is how we act and will continue to act. This is of course accepted by the United States as well, and its most senior representatives made clear in recent days. Israel is an independent state. We will defend ourselves by ourselves, and we will continue to control our fate.
It remains unclear whether Arab and other states will be ready to commit troops. That's in part given the refusal of Palestinian Hamas militants to disarm, while Israel has voiced concerns about the makeup of the force. The Trump administration has ruled out sending U.S. soldiers into the Gaza Strip, but says it has spoken to multiple countries about contributing to the force. Last week, Netanyahu hinted that he would be opposed to any role for Turkish security forces in Gaza. Once warm Turkish-Israeli relations soured drastically during the Gaza war. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke about the international force during his visit to Israel on Friday.
There's a lot of countries that are offered to do it. Obviously, as you put together this force, it'll have to be people that Israel's comfortable, or countries that Israel's comfortable with as well. Let me just say that I think there are a lot of countries that are expressing interest right now.
Rubio added that Gaza's future governance still needed to be worked out among Israel and partner nations, but could not include Hamas. A major challenge to Trump's peace plan is that Hamas has not committed to disarming. Since the ceasefire began, Hamas has waged a violent crackdown on clans that have tested its grip on power. At the same time, the remains of 13 deceased hostages remain in Gaza, with Hamas citing obstacles to locating them.
We know Hamas can return them.
However, an Israeli government spokesperson said on Sunday Hamas knew where the bodies were. Israel, which continues to control all access to the territory, allowed the entry of an Egyptian technical team to work with the Red Cross to locate the remains. On Sunday, they met with Hamas to search beyond the yellow line, demarcating the Israeli military's pullback in the Gaza Strip.
Russia has successfully tested its nuclear-powered Burevestnik cruise missile, a weapon President Vladimir Putin claims is capable of evading any defense system. The missile reportedly traveled 14,000 kilometers over 15 hours. This development underscores Russia's commitment to advancing its strategic capabilities amid ongoing tensions with the West.
Russia has taken a step towards deploying its nuclear-powered Burevestnik cruise missile, President Vladimir Putin said in remarks published by the Kremlin on Sunday. It comes after successful tests of the nuclear-capable weapon, according to Moscow, which says it can pierce any current or future anti-missile defense. Russian officials say it has an almost unlimited range and unpredictable flight path. In video released on Sunday of a military meeting, Top General Valery Gerasimov told Putin that the Burevestnik traveled 8,700 miles and was in the air for about 15 hours when it was tested on October 21st. While Putin stressed the need to understand how to class the weapon and prepare infrastructure for deploying the missile. Satellite images in August showed activity at a Russian nuclear test site. Analysts at the time said Moscow appeared to be preparing to test its new nuclear-armed and powered missile. Since first announcing the Burevestnik in 2018, Putin has framed the weapon's development as a response to moves by the United States, such as Washington's 2001 unilateral withdrawal from the 1972 Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty and the expansion of NATO. The test, coupled with a nuclear drill last week, underscores Putin's defiance against Western pressure over its war in Ukraine, while US President Donald Trump has taken a tougher stance against Russia to push for a ceasefire. Combined, Russia and the US have about 87% of the global inventory of nuclear weapons, according to the Federation of American Scientists.
In Argentina, voters headed to the polls in a pivotal legislative election that could determine whether President Javier Milei can continue his sweeping free market reforms. His party, La Libertad Avanza, is under pressure to secure enough seats to push through austerity plans amid deep economic turmoil.
Scenes of celebration outside the headquarters of Argentina's president, Javier Milei. Early results in this weekend's midterm elections showed a decisive victory for Milei's Libertad Avanza's party, with voters overwhelmingly backing his deep austerity measures. Addressing his supporters, the Libertarian president vowed to press ahead with his reforms.
We are committed to making Argentina the freest country in the world, and we will fulfill our electoral promise for each and every Argentinian who supported us, as well as those who did not, because great Argentina is for everyone.
However, many Argentinians are tired of having to tighten their belts.
We weren't living in luxury, but at least before Milei we could choose our meals. Now all that's over. We depend on other people to decide whether we'll eat or not.
President Trump avoided the devaluation of the peso because he's a friend of Milei, right? But I can assure they won't win. Milei won't win because people are very dissatisfied.
In recent months, as Argentina was heading towards a default, US President Donald Trump stepped in, injecting billions of dollars into the country's economy. Trump's shadow loomed large over the election, as he had insisted that continued aid was conditional on Milei's victory. Milei has, for the moment, managed to slow inflation by 2/3, but economic growth still remains stubbornly low.
In Paris, French authorities have detained 2 men in connection with the sensational heist of royal jewels from the Louvre Museum. One apprehended at Charles de Gaulle Airport as he attempted to flee the country. The theft, which saw 8 priceless pieces stolen in under 8 minutes, has raised serious questions about museum security.
Nighttime arrest at Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport. Police from a special unit in charge of armed robberies and art thefts nabbing a man suspected of taking part in the daring Louvre theft just before he boarded a flight to Algeria. Another man also arrested Saturday night. Both suspects are in their 30s and originally from the capital Seine-Saint-Denis suburb. They are known to police. Information confirmed by the Paris prosecutor in a statement just released. The 2 suspects are currently being questioned here at the Paris headquarters of the Judicial Police. The Interior Minister welcomed the break in the case.
I extend my warmest congratulations to the investigators who have worked tirelessly. The investigations must continue. They will do so with the same determination. We will keep going.
According to the former director of the Paris Judicial Police, the hearings of the 2 suspects could generate new avenues of investigation. It was 1 week ago when the whole world saw these pictures of the historic robbery at the Louvre Museum. 8 precious pieces of jewelry from France's crown jewels, estimated at 88 million euros. They still haven't been found. Some experts say it wouldn't be hard to conceal them once they've been dismantled. Investigations are continuing. At least 2 suspects are still.
Time for a short commercial break now. We'll be right back with more world news. Welcome back. Talking of museums, tonight we return to the American Museum of Natural History in New York, which is relaunching its much-loved Night at the Museum overnight experience. Visitors will once again gateway into the museum's vast halls after hours and spend the night among dinosaurs, ocean life, and exhibits in a unique, immersive event.
Under the careful watch of a T-Rex, a grizzly bear, and this big blue whale, a slumber party, years in the making.
I've never been to this museum before, but I bet it's a lot of fun. I am very excited.
All that excitement for a colossal comeback here at New York's American Museum of Natural History, with its cherished sleepover program for kids and their families officially back on after a 5-year pause.
I am excited as a monkey winning 20,000 bananas. Flashlights out.
The idea? To encourage these young explorers to grab a flashlight and get curious.
We got to see a lot of fossils and they told us a lot of fun facts.
For the museum's Senior Director of Visitor Services, Aaron Anleu, bringing back the program felt like a no-brainer.
This is the best way to have an evening with your family and your children.
This night at the museum, inspired by the 2006 movie. Not just for the kids, but their parents too.
It made me hyped up to go here.
It's, I guess, like Christmas morning when you're excited to see that first gift.
What's that?
A snake.
Trading screen time for an up-close look at the world's wonders.
I wanted to do this for a long time for myself and for him, and it's kind of magical.
A little laughter.
Bingo!
And you're a winner!
And a lot of joy.
The night at the museum.
A real-life blockbuster, keeping kids up all night.
In North Carolina, theater teacher Christine Lundberg donated her kidney to colleague and assistant principal Ernest Devane at Fuquay-Varina Middle School after he suffered years of kidney disease and dialysis. The match was a direct one, the surgery a success, and both are now recuperating and reflecting on this extraordinary act of friendship.
An unbreakable bond between this North Carolina theater teacher and her assistant principal. That's Kristen Lundberg revealing to Ernest Devane that she's about to be the answer to his prayers by donating her kidney after 2 years of waiting.
The feeling that went through my body was like a feeling of relief, joy, just grateful, blessed, excited, happy.
They've been longtime colleagues, but also close friends, guided by faith.
I feel like God made this call and I had to pick it up.
With the school community showing up to show them just how loved they are.
Words are just words, but when you put action behind it, that makes the difference.
Being able to say, not just say I love you, but being able to act on it and really mean that through their actions, we are here to shine the light.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Selena Jaitilaka. We leave you tonight with the visuals of Russians swapping Western coffee for traditional tea. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.agncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Thank you for watching World News Tonight on other Derana News channel. Have a great night.